To have season. Hello, everyone. Back again today with Marci, and the topic today is so important. Something that we all have, and not all of us are really aware of. Not all of us, at least. I just became aware of this, and we're talking about attachment styles today. So, Marci, just introduce yourself really quick. Tell people what you're about, and we'll hop in.
Sure. My name is Marci Baron. I am a coach and energy healer based out of Long Island, New York. I work with women all over the world to use a lot of modalities to so they can ignite the next level of their lives, whether that's health, wealth, relationships, whatever it is. I always find everybody has one area that they need support in, and we focus on that and move the needle in incredible ways through energetics, mindset, physical, somatic, nervous system recalibration, all of that stuff, so that everyone can ignite the next level of joy, happiness, fulfillment in their lives.
We all need that, especially right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, talking about attachment styles, just for the people that don't know what they are, how
Yeah.
would you describe them?
Okay, so according to, I guess, psychiatrists and, like really this is a very known subject in the world of psychology and self-help is attachment style. And what that means is the bond that you have with your primary caregivers during childhood, mom, father, or whoever were your primary caregivers, it has a really big influence on our future social and intimate relationships. All relationships, relationships at work, with our partners, with friends, all of it. So this early bond creates a template or rules for how you build and interpret relationships as an adult. So in other words, we are not, you know, seeing things through the eyes of the truth of who we are. We're seeing things in a skewed way, based on how we are in our attachment to mother, father. And
Wow.
there are four attachment styles, and I know you have questions for me, but I'd like to go into
Yeah,
that. But
please,
yeah.
absolutely.
So the four attachment styles are, excuse me, the one that we're all striving for is secure. Okay. That's where we have, and I'll go into them in a little bit, but let me just name them. Secure,
Mhm.
we have anxious attachment, we have avoidant attachment, and then we have a disorganized attachment. I've heard it as being called different things. It could be anxious, it's avoidant. It's like you get both of those. It could be called fearful avoidant. But basically, those are the four.
Mhm.
And um, we're all here to feel connected and safe and love in our need to belong. It's like one of our core, I'm sorry, tenets of
Yeah.
humanity. And when we don't have a secure attachment with our caregivers, it shows up in relationships, in it can be traced back to these relationships with our parents. And
Mhm.
the one thing I want to say too is, before I go on, like, I want everybody listening to this know that you can work on your attachment. It is something that can be healed. So like, as I go into this, I don't want everyone to panic.
I know, because I'm anxious attachment. How
Right.
can I change it?
Right. Or it's for themselves or
Mhm.
moms, right? Like, I'll just start at this. Like, my son was an anxious attachment his whole life, and we've changed that. So I
Okay.
just want you to know and have that, like, okay, this isn't like here to build fear or guilt or shame or anything other than awareness, because
Right.
awareness is the first key. And the second part is you can work on this. And the third thing I want to say about that is just go into this conversation, anyone listening, with curiosity and compassion. It's like curiosity about, oh, this is interesting. I never heard about this,
Mhm.
or, ooh, I want to hear about this more. And then compassion for yourself, compassion for your parents. Everyone really did do the best they could.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have a lot of strong emotions come up. I say both and. We're not bypassing here. We're not saying, you can't be furious. And it's like, let's just open up this conversation to see what's happening here.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, one, that they've never heard of it, and two, they're like, how do I figure out what my attachment style is? And I know there's quizzes and stuff
Yes.
online. Do you have any that you just
Um,
Google and find a good one?
yeah, you
I
could just,
did one. I was like, I've got to have anxious attachment. And I just assumed, not
right.
because of my parents, but because I'm a very anxious person and I've
Yeah,
always been anxious. And then I was like, wait a second, I've only been anxious since I was like 25 years old. That's new. So
right, right.
yeah, I did the quiz ahead of this. It said I have secure. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it says. That's
Okay.
where I am.
And again, you take everything with a grain of salt,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So, and again, it's like, so attachment styles they develop in childhood is when how your parents they act toward you and meet your needs,
Right.
and that forms the foundations for how your child perceives and acts within close relationships. So for example, if you, and I'm talking to the moms here, right? If you're offering most of the time a warm, caring, responsive environment, your child's crying and you're attuned to that child, their physical, emotional needs, okay? The child becomes securely attached.
Mhm.
On the other hand, if you're, and this is why my son developed an anxious attachment, is I was involved in so much of my own pain and grieving the loss of my first child. I
Mhm.
lost a micro preemie infant that was born at 25 weeks.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, and he was colicky, and I went into like a lot of shutdown. And I remember like I was like, and again, you hear this, you have to let them cry in their
Mhm.
crib to sleep. And I mean, again, I did the best I could. Now it's like my son's 21 years old, and if I could go back, I don't regret, but
Mhm.
I realize the places and spaces where I wasn't attuned to what he needed.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the other thing is attachment is a spectrum. Okay. So you may not match the profile of a specific style exactly,
Mhm.
but knowing the traits of each kind, and how they develop can A, help the mom heal, and B, just know that, you know, she's doing the best she can, right? You're always going back.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me, with that, explain the attachment styles. So
Please. Yeah.
secure attachment style is the ideal. They're comfortable expressing their emotions openly. They can depend on their partners and let their partners rely on them. Because again, it really shows up in our intimate relationships. So when you're secure, everyone has a voice. There's honesty, there's tolerance, there's emotional closeness, there's the ability to be vulnerable. Okay. They don't overly seek in that external approval or validation, right? They can identify and regulate their emotions. And when your partner needs that support, they can too for them. On the other hand, the three other attachment styles, the first one is anxious. That's preoccupied. So the people who have anxious attachment styles, they tend to have this negative self-view about themselves and a positive view of others.
Hmm.
So literally, they don't feel that sense of worthiness, and they're constantly like um deeply feel abandonment. That's really what I want to say. So if in dating it's like, oh my God, they didn't call, they didn't
Mhm.
text, oh my God, where's my husband,
I feel
where's
like a
my
lot of people can identify with that one. Honestly.
absolutely,
Very
because
normal.
yeah, it is normal, it is normal, and it's an uncomfortable way to be.
Hmm.
It's like, why didn't they write me back? And as soon as you get the response from your partner, then the anxiety goes down. Okay. So it's a preoccupation with the relationship and a desperate need for reassurance that they are loved.
Can seem clingy, probably, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, they're worried that their loved one is not as invested in the relationship as they are. And that traces back to the mother who was not as responsive. So within them, it's like they're playing out, like for my son, he's like, he would ask me, Mommy, do you love me? And I'm like, Josh, I love
Oh,
you, hon. I
yeah.
know. But again, like it's an energetic thing. It's like
Hmm.
I was grieving the loss
Right.
of
You weren't
another.
doing it on purpose.
It
You
wasn't
loved
any
your child. Yes.
right, right.
Hmm.
But my energy, my focus, my was huge loss. And as children, they make everything about themselves.
Yep.
He
Sure
couldn't,
do.
it wasn't about him, it was about what he was picking up on because I mean, I lost my son in 2001, and my son Josh, that's my son Benjamin, and my son Josh was born in 2002. So, do you know what I mean? Like,
Still fresh. Yeah.
still fresh but I want to tell everyone we've healed it.
Hmm.
Okay. The second kind of attachment style is avoidant or dismissive. Okay. So now it's reversed. They have a positive self view about themselves,
Hmm.
but a somewhat negative view of others.
Hmm.
So these are the hyper independent people that are self sufficient
Right.
because they do not want to depend on others. They don't want to seek support. And they are doing that because they're avoiding intimacy or emotional closeness. So they withdraw from a relationship. Why? Because they don't want to get hurt. It's a self-protection mechanism. So in a mind of an avoidant, it's like, oh, I would love to have a relationship, but they hide or suppress their feelings when something comes up. They avoid conflict.
Hmm.
They are avoiding. And again, it's created as a self-protection mechanism. So while the anxious is preoccupied, the avoidant pushes away and is dismissive.
That's the attachment style my husband healed. He was avoidant
Exactly.
and he healed it.
In relationship to you,
Hmm.
right? Because here's the beautiful thing. If you're constantly like, it's safe here, you
Hmm.
don't have to run away.
Yes.
I'm here to support you. What can I do to support you? He is developing, wow, it's safe to get close.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, the third kind is the disorganized or the fearful avoidant or the anxious avoidant. So
I've heard it
they
anxious avoidant. That's how I've heard.
Yes, yes. So they tend to vacillate between both anxious and avoidant, depending on the mood and circumstances. So they are confusing, they are ambiguous. At their heart, they're like, oh my God, like, where is this person? I'm afraid of, abandonment, like on the phone,
Yeah.
freaking out. And then when it comes close, they can then pull away.
Wow.
So there's desire to get close and fear, which makes them run away. And they want the intimacy and closeness, but they have trouble trusting and depending on others.
That's got to be a hard one to be.
Well, again, it is all like, all right, so where do you, so now that you have an idea and you may know where you lean, and like you said, there are, quizzes and all of these things, you can identify and heal and recover from these attachment styles.
Mhm.
Okay. So again, if, and here's the thing I want to say about that is they are healed in relationships with others. So, if you're not working in relationship with others, and that can be with a significant other or a partner, um, you're like, oh, I think I'm good. And then that comes up and you're like, holy shit, I'm preoccupied. Like,
Right.
it comes up. But I want to speak to the moms too, is again, just as much as you can, have curiosity and compassion for how you are showing up for your children. And in this moment, I can encourage you to just be the most unconditionally loving parent you can be for your child.
Yep. Healing. I feel like our generation is healing ourselves more than any before us. Like we've just got this huge job ahead of us to heal ourselves, to stop all of that, to, stop the trauma and stop all of these things and heal these things so our children don't have to deal necessarily with it. I mean, they're going to have to deal with some things because this
Right.
world's messed up, but it it's I think we're truthfully the first generation of women, especially, like we've got a huge job and we're doing it now.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot of our generation finds it hard to talk to our parents about it too, because they don't really, they're like the last generation of people that still think therapy is ridiculous and all that stuff. So it's like, how do
Yeah.
you, when you healed it with your son, did he heal it on his own? Did you work with him with it, or?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. I kept giving him evidence of how much he's loved,
Mhm.
how much he's um, cherished. And I think a lot of it also came when his younger sister was born. There was a lot of jealousy for him. So there were like this stuff happening for him. And he, I supported him in the way that I do with the way that I work as a mother, but I also did get him therapy because he needed that place and space that was beyond me.
Mhm.
And what I'll say too is every single child, there is something that comes up with our parents and this world in whatever way that they need to heal from. And, and that's part of our soul's journey. That's what we sign up for. We're having this human experience to learn the lessons of our soul.
Mhm.
And attachment style is just one way it comes up. But you're right, there has never been as much consciousness and awareness as with our generation to be what I call the linchpin. Oh, your
Sorry.
kitty cat.
Luna, come on. Don't
um,
shut my computer off, please.
um, we are the linchpins. We are the literal pins in the family generations
Yeah.
of the and healing the generational trauma because we want to be we are creating a new world. And that's why everything is just so messed up right now because all of the old is crumbling
Yeah.
and the dynamics in the family um are shifting.
That's
And if
so
I could
true.
say one thing that, to mothers is you need to be the unconditional love for your children that we didn't have.
Yep.
So I was always hiding and not using my voice and wasn't my authentic self. I was codependent and like they have to be happy and I can't be myself. And for my kids, I'm like, I love you no matter what.
Hmm.
You can tell me anything no matter what age it is. I'm here to support you. How can I support you? I have a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old. So, raising my children, they come to me and tell me everything.
Oh, so nice.
Yes, because they know it doesn't matter what they tell me. I'm here to help them. I'm here to support them. I'm here to love them no matter what. And if you can do that, that's going to build the secure attachment in your child. It doesn't matter what came before. It's I love you, I'm here for you, you're not going to get in trouble. And what that requires is really secure attachment and regulated emotions and
Mhm.
nervous system
Yes.
on behalf of the parent so that you know your kid tells you something and you want to explode or you feel panicked or you're worried and then you're like, okay, it's okay. You can be responsive and not reactive.
Right. That's a hard thing. That's
It
something
is.
that we all need to do, I think.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of awareness to go, okay. And that's not to say they don't get in trouble or in the sense that there are consequences. You know, everybody goes through things and there are natural consequences too.
Hmm.
Like I remember a situation where I live in New York and, the kids take the train to Manhattan and my daughter and her friends, and maybe 15, 16 years old, they're in the city and something happened and they called me. They called me because I'm the calm one. And
Hmm.
sure enough, we all there meet the moms, at the house in the car, they took an Uber back instead of a train, beep bop boo, whatever the story is. And we're standing and, one of the moms is like, "Are you going to punish them?" And I just looked at her and I said, "I think this was punishment enough."
Hmm.
I was like, what they went through, the panic that they went through, I'm just going to go inside and love my daughter right now. You guys can handle it the way you want.
Right.
And that's a thing too. It's like there's natural consequences of what they have to endure.
Yep.
I'm
I'm,
sneezing on that.
bless you.
Phew.
I'm
Whew.
working on that actually because my son is he's a lot. He's always been a lot. He's always been very busy, gets into stuff, he does stuff he's not supposed to. Just he's so similar to me. Like, don't tell me what to do. I have to figure it out myself. So for me, very frustrating. So I've been working on that myself because they're both in soccer. Both my kids are in soccer. The rule is I'm not keeping track of your shit. You're keeping track of your own shit. You're going to get all of your stuff together before your practices, before your games. Has nothing to do with me. I'm going to tell you what time we have to leave. And this just happened Monday. Usually I would scream at him for not having his stuff where it's supposed to be. And I just said to him, he's like, I can't find my shin guards. And I was like, I wasn't wearing your shin guards. He was like,
Yeah,
well, can you help me find them? And I'm like, yeah, I can help you look for them where you think they were, but I'm not going to go and look for them. Like you're 12 years old. You need to realize like you're
right,
responsible for your own stuff. This is a consequence of your action here.
right,
I'm not going to punish you and tell you can't go to practice. You
right.
committed to practice. You're going to practice and that sucks. I hope you don't get kicked in the shins.
Exactly. And that is a really, that's the natural consequence. Exactly.
Yeah. Not going to
Exactly.
ground you.
Right, right. And again, so, you know, and again, you become that safe place of, consistency, reliability, and as they're older, right? Because primarily these attachment styles are created in very early childhood,
Right.
but again, you're creating that secure attachment. It's like, okay, like I can be here with my child, and my child knows he can come to me, and he's safe in that.
That's what I want. I my daughter is she's like that. She comes and tells me like too much. And I'm like, okay, Liv. Like, I don't need to know everything, but it is what it is. But
I always want them to tell me everything
yes,
because how old is your daughter?
she just turned 10.
Yeah, because you want to know everything because in teenage,
Oh
pretty
yeah.
soon she's not going to start telling you everything.
Yeah, no, I told her, I don't tell her that to her face. I'm just sitting there going, oh
Oh,
my gosh. I'm like,
okay. Okay,
wow,
good.
that's a lot of information. Which is
Yay.
funny because my son, he just handles stuff on his own. Like he's just like I hate saying just like me. I don't want them to think that they're extensions of me because they're not. They're their own person. But there's so many traits in him that I'm like, oh no, you've got that one. Sorry, but and it's just I mean, as parents, as a mother especially, you can be the best thing you can do is to be completely aware of all of these things that you're talking about, aware of your own attachment style, aware of what your how you're parenting your children to develop their attachment style, like you were saying, the regulation of emotions, which has been a big one for me, and just really healing yourself so you can be the best person and the best parent to your children, honestly.
And and here's what I want to end with is when the mother heals, the whole family heals, it ripples out to everyone, and she doesn't have to say a word.
Yep.
It's felt. It's felt in her energy, it's felt in her groundedness, it's felt in her beautiful ability to hold space for everyone.
And that's our second topic. You'll tune into that. Once we record that one, I'll also link that one under this. We're going to be Marcy and I are going to be talking a second time about mother wounds and all. Oh my gosh, I'm just really excited about the energetics of motherhood, right? Is the topic that we have.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am very excited. I really appreciate you sitting down and talking attachment styles with me. How can people connect with you and see what you're doing and follow your geniusness?
Oh, thank you. So my website is marcibaronclears.com, and I guess you'll link
I'll
that
link it.
somewhere.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I'm at Marci Baron on Instagram, and it's MarciBaron. And that's how people can stay connected to me, follow along. And I'm about to, I don't know when this is coming out or be published, but I am starting my group experience
Yes.
online and announcing that very soon of quantum expansion, which is about manifesting and the ability to heal what's underneath, keeping you from reaching that next level, right? Because it's like that's why The Secret didn't work. That's
Yes.
why everything on your vision board is on the paper but not on your doorstep, and
Mhm.
that's what I am. That's my program.
I
Uh,
love that. I
yeah,
will definitely link that as well because
thank you.
we've all got to heal. Remember, this is, and it feels terrible to say, but it feels like it's our responsibility for
Yeah,
the future.
I don't think it's terrible to say. I just think it's part of the human journey. I just think we come in and we're human beings,
Yep.
and we are here to come into the most love um that we that is just the essence of who we are. We're both human and divine, and we get to live that life. And healing isn't anything that has to be all encompassing or gut wrenching. It gets to be, for like in my world, like we just, we peel back the layers, and it's our next emanation. It's more like a spiral. We're never done. It's like
Nope.
the
Nope.
well,
Never.
it's the journey of life, right? There's no there. We don't get there. We
Right.
get to enjoy the ride.
That's so true. That is so true. Thank you so much for being on here. I'll link everything below for everybody watching, and I'll find the attachment style quiz that I did too. I'll link that below.
Oh, that's
And
great.
I look forward to our next conversation. Thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, sweetheart. Thank you.